So it's day 3, believe it or not. Lost 2 days really, or lost a day because we've been mucking about with the rip out, and then we've had to latex the floor, which to me fair is looking pretty damn good. That floor is looking lovely now. We get a nice laminate floor through there now. It's all looking lovely through there. So today is going to be plumbing and electrical work, so all this is coming out. Obviously we're not touching the gas, so we're just going to cut the cold pipe there, and then we're going to extend it through to the mains in there, and then we're going to come back and feed it back up into there, so that way then the mains is all under the sink. Then obviously we're going to reroute the hot download level as well, move all these electrical cables, they're all going to be taken out and rerouted. So really the first job is going to be to cut all this out, label which one's which, so we know which one's hot, which one's cold, and then once we know what we're doing there, it's just a matter of just readdressing the pipe work, take the rest of those tiles off around there while the pipe work is off, so that way it's easier to sort out, and then we can just run all new pipes. The plan for today is get the pipe work in, get the electrics in and done, and then Ricky's going to be flat pack building in the meantime, getting things built and assembled. So let's get stuck in. See you shortly, guys. So we've done the cold now. So the cold has all been run. We've moved the We've moved the stop tap. So what we've done is we've unsoldered the connections that was there, and we've used one of these pre-soldered ones, because when you're doing a little connection like this inside a wall, you can't guarantee getting behind it. So by using these pre-soldered ones, you know you're going to get a good flow top and bottom, so it makes it a lot easier, and you can pretty much guarantee you're going to get a good connection. We pressure tested from that point all the way around, so there. So basically our mains pipe comes across there, we've reconnected there. It's all clipped and piped. The new isolator is there. That's going to come into the cupboard to feed the sink, and then it loops back up, and then that goes up, feeds the boiler because it's a combi. Obviously we've still got to do the hot, so the hot's going to come down and it's going to come along this side of this one to here, and then we're going to bring it out either just past the isolator so that they all line up and come out in the cupboard in the same sort of area. This is the outside tap, so what we will do is when the cabinet goes in, we will then run a T off of there. It will come here, it'll bend up, there'll be an isolator and a non-return valve so that no water can come back into the system, and then obviously you will come back off of that, and then that will feed the washing machine internally, and it'll also feed the sink. So that's the cold all run now. So the next job now is unsolder this one. I always do one pipe at a time, that way there's no way of getting it mixed up. We know that's the hot because we labelled it before we took it all out. So all we've got to do now is just going to chip that away a little bit, unsolder that connection. We're going to do another one with another little kick, come down. Obviously we're trying to put bends in where we can to minimise solder joints. So we're going to do another kick here, same as that one, a little bit longer, and then we're going to put our pipe clips connected to this, so that'll be all swept then round to the same point and get the hot out. So we're getting there, the plumbing's almost done. Ricky is chasing in a socket. He's chasing in a new socket there. Now we know it's under the window and we know it's lower than that one, but the reason for it, the oven is here, it's a 500 oven, and you cannot have a socket closer than 30 centimeters or 300 mil to the oven. So we can't put it where it was because it's too close to the oven, it's not within regs. So we had to move it over to try and give them an extra socket there. So it is low, yes, but it's there for a reason. So that will then be fed from there, it'll come through here, it will link into this cupboard, it'll go out the wall to an outside socket, it'll then come back in and link to that, and then a new wire from that will come down and go all the way across and back into that socket, continuing that ring main. And then we're going to cut, these are dead, these whites, and then this is just the spur that they've currently got. This is a ring main, as you can see there's 3 cables in there, so we're going to rewire that box properly and readdress the ring main from that, and we're changing all these face plates to USB socket face plates. So there'll be a single socket in there The oven, the socket that was here, that is now chased in, that is actually on the oven circuit. So this is on the oven circuit. So we're just going to leave that, and we're going to put it inside the 900 unit as a spur from the fuse board, just to power the oven. Now it is 2.5, but it's only to power the ignition for the gas oven. If they ever want to put an electric oven in, they're going to have to run a whole new cable from the fuse board. But fuse board is just the other side of that wall, so it's not a major issue. We had a lot of blown plaster there, so I've got to speak to my plasterer. He's got to bring some bonding, and he's going to have to unibond and bond that bit up and patch it up. If he hasn't got time, then we will have to address it, but hopefully my plasterer on Saturday can sort that out. So Ricky's in the process of running these cables. But anyway, let's get stuck back in. Okay guys, so what I'm going to show you now is how to measure and do bends, and how to do some soldering. So I'll do my best to get the video to a good quality. So the first thing we need to do, obviously we need to get a pipe from this hot here round to our sink over there. So the first thing we're going to do is, we've already run these pipes and we know this cold is just in front of this hot. So we know that the bend, you can see where the bend starts. So you can measure from that bend to just beyond, so 1.6. So you're going to measure, I've already cut this pipe to rough length, because I've just measured it from there, bent the tape, and just got a rough length at 2.5. So I want a measurement of 1.6 on this pipe. 1.6, grab your pencil. So 1.6 is there. So using my Monument pipe benders, so the back of the bend will go to that point. So my pencil mark needs to go in line with this part of my bender here. So you can literally hook that on there like so, and then put our bender part on. Give that again to 45. So that should, if he's got it right, be roughly the right length. So that's going to sit in there like so, and it's almost perfect. So that's good. So what next job? Obviously we need to cut this pipe, so I'm just going to rest it in place. So pipe slice is there, and I want it to come through on an elbow about here. So I'm just going to whip that off there. And then, because we've used these particular clips, these just link to them, so they just clip together. So it saves me having to re-drill loads of different holes. That's it. That one. I'm going to add those to all the other clips. Glasses on, I'll be able to see what I'm doing. That one there. So now we can literally clip our pipe in to the approximate length that we want. Check and get your pipe fittings out. Let's see if that's actually going to be okay. Because obviously might be a little bit short on that one, but it is what it is. So next job, we're going to put a kick now on our pipe. It's going to feed this, which doesn't look like we're going to be long enough, which is annoying. Not the end of the world, but I have to have a look in my van and see if I've got any extra lengths of pipe. Alright, okay, so add a bit more pipe work in the van. So the next job we need to do is just chip away a little bit of pipe work here. Oh, pipe work, sorry. A little bit of this plaster, so carefully. So now that we chip that way, we can get our flux. Put a little bit of flux just on that pipe. Like so. Heat her up. So we're just going to heat this pipe up, give it a little wiggle until it pulls off. Wiggle. Get rid of that. Okay. So now we need to clean that bit of pipe up. So I'm going to use some abrasive tape and pull it down. Cleaning strips. Squeeze that in there. Using a little bit of abrasive strip, we're going to give this a thorough clean, make sure we get right behind the pipe, get it, heat it up and then just hit it again, make sure we get it all off. It's a lot easier to desolder these than it is to try and cut the bits in, as I'm sure you can imagine. Beautiful. Right, that's that coupler going in. So we'll put a bit of flux on the pipe. And I'll put a little bit just inside this fitting. Don't normally do that, but it's just so I can make sure I get a nice bit of flux all the way around the pipe. So the next job is to work out what sort of kick we need. And
black bags anywhere?
Yeah.
They look like bags, don't they? Out of these, don't they?
Yeah.
That's actually
So,
the last bag.
to do a kick, you just need to gauge how far out the wall you need to start. Now, I've already done it once, so I have a pretty good idea. Tie it up until it's sort of straight. And then wake up, so I have it the right way around, doesn't it? Okay. Make sure it's straight. Try and keep it the same there. There. Cut this to length. Pipe slice. Cheers. Again, the clean up. Test fit it. Not looking too bad at all. So now we know that's that length, we can now mark the pipe. So for the cut, it's top of this pipe is your cut line. Let's mark that up and now cut it to length. That bit end of clean. Alright, test fit again. And then we want to cut this part to length, which is roughly there. Okay, so we need an elbow, which we've got here. So first job. Flux on the end of each end of the pipe, just a little bit. On the bottom. Your elbow on. Flux on the end of this pipe. And then push that back in. That up inside there. Get that spin, push that onto there. Perfect. fun part, soldering. So first thing you want to do, what I like to do is just wipe off the excess flux. Always have a rag and a bit of spray bottle, which I always use, cleaning strip, torch, and then solder. I like to get it out, put a little hook on it, that way I can get behind the pipe, and then solder in. Get it a bit closer. Okay. So when you're doing soldering, you don't need the flame on high. You only have it on high if there's still a bit of water in your pipes. So all you're going to do, about 10-15 mil away from the pipe, let it heat up. But obviously these are pre-soldered, so these will flow on their own. What I'm doing is adding a bit of solder, top and bottom, like so, just to make sure I get a good flux, good flow. Then I use the brush just to smooth the flux out and let it run. That's that one. And then we'll see with the bottom one. Again, low heat, come from the bottom of it. And then you're literally just going to give it a dab and it will flow. You'll see it flow round and a dab and you'll see it flow round, and that is all there is to it. A little clean off with a flux brush all the way around just to make sure you've got a good circulation of it. Then all I do is hit it with a spray bottle, pull the pipe down, and then I'm going to use my cleaning strip and we're just going to buff that up, make sure there's no flux left on the pipes, and that's it, simple as that. And that's how I do my soldering, guys. So my next job really now, well the last job for me really, is to get the hot coming out of the into the sink. Now I did make a bit of a mistake. I've cut this a bit short, which I hold my hands up to. So I'm just going to pop that bit out. I'm just going to do a little extension. Literally just going to extend this like so, just so I can get my pipes out. Don't need them much out. I just need it to come just past that valve like so. So I'm going to put a little mark here, so I know where I'm cutting the pipe. Just pop that off. Again, clean up both sides. I need it straight, and I need an elbow. Flux both sides of this pipe. Straight coupler on one end, elbow on the other. Again, wiping off the excess. And then obviously got to clean up this side as well. A bit of flux. Pipe in, get it in the clips. Flip that up like so. And then all we need is a bit of pipe, roughly the same length. Clean it up. Bit of flux. Put that in now. Chances are that's going to drop, so what you can do is you can put a little kick, a little kink that pipe, and that will help hold that where you want it. And that's where I want it. So that's all of that. So I need to get my bits together. Low torch, solder, flux. Again, just heating it up. Little strike, you'll see it flow. Once you've seen it flow, that's all you need to do. Again, flux brush just to smooth it out. And then do exactly the same on this elbow. Perfect. Beautiful. Now you will see all these people that go on about perfect solder joints and this, that and the other. Me, I don't care about all that. No one's ever going to see it really. This is behind the units, and not only that, as long as it's sealed and it's functional, who cares? You know, customers ain't really bothered if the solder joints are connected properly or whether they're tidy. They're more concerned is whether or not it's going to leak. So that's all you need to worry about. Try and wipe that bit of flux off. You want to try and get as much of the flux off as you can. Obviously, the last thing you want is the pipes going green and slowly corroding, because that's what will happen. So now we've done that. Alright, clean up our connections. And there we go. Connect our pipes up. Put our push cap on so that we can turn the mains back on. Make sure that's all good. And that's it. That's our hot, our cold, all reconnected. All I've got to do now is turn the mains back on and make sure there's no leaks and drain the hot from upstairs. And then we can crack on with the electrical side of things. So, on to the next job. So, the mains is back on. I know I've got to drain it back down again, but I didn't want to get units in and then turn the mains on and then find water coming out under the units. Do you know what I mean? So, it's always best to get your water turned on and then worry about it afterwards. So, yes, I've still got to do some pipe work inside the cupboard, put some isolators on and connect the outside tap. But that's not a major drama. I can sort that out as and when I feel like it. So it's all up and running, it's all tested, it's under pressure, everything's been bled. There's no air in the pipes. I'm happy. So now we can crack on with the electrics. See you in a bit. All the cables have now been run for the electrics. So what will happen is our ring main. So these two will get joined together in Wagos and put in the back of the box. That one and this one will then go into the socket. So that's then the ring main extended, and it will come down across there, out to our outside socket, back and then down, and this will be what's feeding the socket for the washing machine, which will be inside this cabinet. It then comes back, comes over here, comes up to this socket and out, and then that cable then comes back down, comes all the way back over, and that's what continues the ring main. So that's how you extend your ring main. So you've got two wires. Those two get linked and don't go anywhere. They just get linked in the back of the box. And then those two go into the actual socket. And then that is what continues your ring main, because it goes in a big circle all the way around and back up. So it goes from there, all the way around to there and then back down and to there and continues the circuit. We've put the earth clamp on there. It has to go on after the isolator or the main stop tap. The main stop tap is obviously there, but obviously that's the cable won't reach to get it to over there, so we just put it back on there, which is then going up to feed the boiler. Same difference, it's still earthed. And then obviously this wire here is coming off of what's called the oven circuit on its own. Even though it's only 2.5, that's going to go in the back of a drawer unit that's here, which is what we're going to plug the oven ignition into. The oven is a standalone 500, as I said earlier. So basically all we've got left to do on the electrics is back box, face plate, cut those and join them, face plate, cut those, put them into a pattress, single pattress that should go in here, and then wire up the double socket outside. So first thing we're going to do though, before we do any of that, is we're going to get this unit get all the units in here that need to go in, and then we can then bring that cable into this unit, and then we can wire everything up and get it all connected and have it all back up and running. That way they'll have power tonight, and hopefully we'll have a lot of these base units in by the end of the day. And then tomorrow we'll basically start worktops, get the worktops fitted, and probably the sink in possibly tomorrow. And then Friday we'll just be finishing the base units off. I'm umming and ahhing. Ideally I need to get the floor down before I do the decor panels, but the plaster's coming Saturday, so, and I've got to be out of here. Wednesday's my last day, and I've still got to do the floor and do the tile splashback and fit all the wall units. I think it's doable, but I always get stressed in my head when it comes to time scales, because I've got to be 2 jobs on Thursday. We've got a pergola to build, erect and build, and dig out some concrete pad stones for it and get them leveled. Then I've got to go back over to St Albans and do another job. Then Friday we've got to install the pergola. That's all next week. So anyway, let's get these units cut and fitted. I'm going to have a bite to eat, and then we're going to crack on. See you in a bit. The units are, base units are mostly in. We've got one to do, which we need to cut out and shrink to get it in. I'll show you that in a second. The electrics are now all done. Just need to make good the walls. Plumbing is through the cabinets, so that just needs to be connected. So we've got a socket there now, it's on the ring main. This is our oven one. Now we can't screw to these panels because, like I say, these are only like a really thin hardboard, so we just cut a hole in the back. Ricky's just throwing the drawer fronts on the drawers. So the pipework's all in, the oven can go back in and be connected, and that can be working whenever we're ready. We've got double socket up there, single socket down there for the washing machine, and then obviously outside we wired up the outside socket for them, so they can now have, outside power. Lock that up. That's it. They've got outside power now, so all we've got to do is reconnect that inside. There's a minor issue with the plumbing. All it's left to do really, off that cold, come across, isolator, non-return valve, that's that reconnected. Then obviously a tee-off, or an elbow and a tee off those, and then that'll give us a hot and cold feed for the sink. And obviously we've also got to put a tee off for the washing machine valve, which isn't a major problem. I mean, by rights I could, if I really wanted to, put a tee or a valve just in there and have it connected just there. Wouldn't be the end of the world. I could just put an inline one there if I really wanted to, just put in there a little inline valve if I wanted to. Not really made that decision yet, because obviously the further into this unit it comes, the longer the hose has got to be. I've already got to put an extension on for the washing machine waste, but I've already got that. So yeah, it's just a few little fiddly little bits left to do. Nothing too major though, nothing we can't sort out. See you in a bit. So Ricky's done the drawer fronts now. So they're all in. I'm not happy about leaving them on. I'm probably going to take them off before we get too far, and I don't want them getting damaged. I'll say all these units are in. We've now cut this little unit down. So this has been cut down now, so we can get a bit of a decor panel on there, and then a 10mm overhang, a filler panel side, and roughly 10mm for the worktop. So the worktop will come from there, 10mm proud across there, and then the door shuts with plenty of space. So because we've got to get a decor panel in here, but I've still got to lay the floor, I've used some offcuts of the carcass just to space this unit off, so I can get a decor panel down inside there, and then that'll probably just be a decor panel inside there. It's quite tight actually when you're looking at it now. So yeah, we've got that corner post on, but they don't give us anything to put here that I've seen. It may be there, but we've got to put something there to stop stuff falling out the cabinet. Obviously there's a decor panel going to go there, decor panel there, decor panel there, there, and again on the end of that one. So what I'm thinking, it's a vinyl click lock floor. I'm actually going to lay this floor tomorrow. First thing, lay the floor. I'm going to bring some sheets of Corex, which is like black plastic sheeting. I'm then going to protect the whole floor thoroughly. And that way then I can get all my decor panels on, finished to the right height, and then potentially get the worktops on in here as well. So there's one worktop going there, nice straight, easy, straight cut, job done. And then there'll be one from there to there, and then across here with an angle cut, and then obviously sink cut out, and that's it. It's only the sink to cut out because the oven's standalone. So that's the plan for tomorrow anyway. Worktops in, floor down, decor panels, and then that way then Friday, what can I do Friday? It's a good question. Actually don't know. If we get the flooring down, well, I could finish the worktops, I suppose. I'm not going to rush to do them tomorrow. But yeah, plumb it all in, get the outside tap working Friday, put the washing machine in, get the oven in, working, everything working. So they'll have a fully functional kitchen by the end of Friday. And then Monday, it'll all be plastered. So Monday we can throw all the wall units up and start tiling. Sounds like a plan. Happy days. See you soon. Okay, so it's the end of the day. We've got all the wall units assembled. So all the flat packs have been opened, and that's all there. The sink, plinth and cornice are over there, and the worktop. So tomorrow we'll dig all this out, put the floor down, which is there. So we'll lay that floor, protect it, decor panels in, which are there, and then worktops, which are over there, get them in. That'd be tomorrow's plan, really. We get more than that done, but that's my game plan. Get those bits done, and then I can then Friday get all the appliances, sink and everything up and running, ready for. So they've got a full working kitchen effectively. They can do their washing, do whatever they need to do. That's the plan, and then obviously Monday we can then look at putting the wall units up, tiling the splashback, fitting the plinths if we don't get that done tomorrow, which probably will. Yeah, so we're well on schedule, so I'm well happy with the progress. Anyway, don't forget guys, like, share, follow, subscribe to that YouTube channel, hit that notification icon, hit that subscribe button. That's really important for me. If you could do that, I'll be really grateful. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.